1994 called Wall, Stop. Back in 1994, I used to go to this plastic store in Santa Monica, and I would buy plastic for my art pieces, you know, for framing. And one day I was going through their bins of discarded material, and I found a piece of plexiglass, or they call it acrylic, a fancy dancy thing. They call it acrylic and not plexiglass, because plexiglass is a trade name, of a circle. I think it's 4 inches by about 5 inches. And what I did was I just bought it. It was only like $1. I took it home, and I had no use for it. I just put it in a drawer, and I just said I'll use it later on, I think. And so at that time, I also was I was working on bird pieces, and I had an opportunity in the summer of I think it's either 93 or 94. I know the piece is 94, but I can't remember if it was 93 or 94 when I went back to Ohio, and I went down to Kent State, and I was able to use the foundry down at Kent to make some bird pieces in metal. And I think I made about 15 of them, some in bronze, some in aluminum, and some in cast iron. And what I did is I took one of my wooden birds, and I went down there and I made a sand casting of the bird. And then what I did was, after I had the pieces made, and then they were shipped to me to California, and they came back pretty crude. They had all the stems on them from the casting process. They were pretty roughed up, and they almost didn't even look like birds. I had to go back into them with a Dremel and to make them as art pieces. So the piece that I decided to use the plexiglass was, what I did is I took one of the cast iron pieces, and this is cast iron, this bird right here, and it weighs about maybe 2 or 3 pounds. And I turned them into, you had like stems coming out of them where the nose is and where the head is. It's where when you pour the metal into it, it forms it. And so you had to take that off. You had to pretty much reshape the bird back into a bird shape. So then what I did was I decided that I was thinking about hamsters and how hamsters would walk across using a circle type thing inside there. For the exercise, they walk on these circle things I guess just for exercise. And I was thinking also these little birds that I used to go out to the ocean, they would walk to the water, and the water would come in and they walk back, and they would walk back and forth, and I don't know, and they would eat a little bit, and they walk back and forth. So I was thinking about how a bird would get on walk on a piece of plexiglass going this way, and eventually, ending up at a wall, and they couldn't go any further, and it would be called a wall stop. So then that would be the end of it. After I made this piece, I made about 4 drawings of wall stop. They were color pencil drawings, which I don't have any of them. They all have been sold. Actually, I got another piece of plexiglass, but it was only about a ½ an inch. And I did the drawing. I put the real plexiglass onto the paper, glued it down, and I did a drawing of a bird sitting on top, a color pencil drawing sitting on a piece of plexiglass. And that actually sold. I wanted to keep, like I said, I made about maybe 15 or 20 of these metal pieces, and people like them because they're very heavy. I think some people like artwork that's heavy. They like, oh my God, that looks so great. And then when they pick it up, they say, oh my God, that's really heavy. And there's something about when you hold something in your hand, it's like when you hold a piece of wood, a wood bird, it doesn't have that same volume. Yes, it has the volume, but it doesn't have the same weight. And people like the weight on it. I kept this one because maybe I'll eventually sell it. But they always say you're supposed to keep at least one of your pieces to hold on, just in case, to show people and what you have done in the past. So this is wall stop.